Welcome to the Spartan Spotlight. Our special guest in the interview today is Mr. Ombi. Mr. Ombi is a Spanish 2 and 3 on-level teacher. He also coaches the lacrosse team. Ombi has been teaching for many years and is a favorite to many students. Without further ado, let's get to the interview. Good morning, Mr. Ombi. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
All right, first question. How difficult would you say your classes are?
Well, compared to what I've heard about AP anything, kind of in the middle. You know, it's Spanish 1 and 2. The difference between Spanish and a lot of subjects like AP English or whatever is, we're starting at the bottom of things, not at the top of them. You know, here you are, you come out the 8th, 9th grade in science and all that, you got a big grounding for it. But a lot of times with language classes, we're starting where if you actually spoke the language, you'd be in the 1st or 2nd grade. That doesn't mean that it's totally easy. It just means it isn't as hard as some other things.
Thank you. Next question. How lenient would you say you are with late work?
2 words, way too. However, this is why. I want people to enjoy the process of learning Spanish. I know there's a lot going on, especially with kids that get up into junior and senior classes, where some of those other pressing classes are very difficult. So as long as people are trying, as long as they put out an effort, I'm going to work with them to make sure that they succeed. I'm really more worried that they succeed than that they get punished for being this or that.
Okay, and how strict are you with the rules?
Not enough. However, on my wall there's a sign. It's not there is a set of rules, but there's a goal. The goal is to stay calm. The goal is to stay positive. Whatever we do to get there is what we do to get there. And there's some things you have to do to get there. You can't argue. You can't act crazy. And if you do that long enough, we will achieve that goal. So I'm about achieving the goal of staying patient, staying positive, and enjoying the learning process.
And last question. Would you recommend students to take your class?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Spanish is fun. It's when I look back on life when I was you guys' age, which was way a long time ago, I was a band kid. I cared about nothing else. Except one thing I do remember about Spanish. I liked going there. And I did pretty well with it. And I think it broadens the mind anytime that you learn how someone else thinks, what words they're using and why they think and what culture they represent. You're making yourself a better person. You're learning something from that person, and you guys are sharing that experience. And that can't be a bad thing.
That's all I have for you. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you, King. It was a pleasure.
So that's Ombi's class from the man himself. Now let's interview one of his students and ask her the same question. Good morning, Nev. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning.
All right, first question. How difficult would you say Mr. Ombi's class is?
It's not even difficult at all. It's like a 4 out of 10.
Thank you. Next question. How lenient would you say Mr. Ombi is with late work?
Lenient, like he's a lot. Like, it's like 2 out of 10.
Okay, and how strict is Mr. Ombi with rules?
He's not strict at all, actually. It's like, I give it like a 3 out of 10. Like, he's not strict at all.
And last question, would you recommend students to take Mr. Ombi's class?
Yeah.
That's all I have for you. Thank you for coming on. So there you have it, Mr. Ombi's class. You can see why so many people enjoy his class. After seeing all of this, would you like to be in Mr. Ombi's class? Thank you for watching, and this was the Spartan Spotlight.
So you know I had to leave the city, boy. I went from boys in the hood to riding pretty, boy. My money long as Mr. Head, I know you hear me, boy. Went from boys in the hood to riding pretty, boy. These city lights, I see the whole world through these city lights. I've been around the world under city lights. A city boy who left and came back overnight. You know
goalpost you would see from a wrestler?
I'm Travis. I'm Aleem. I'm Messiah. I'm Peace. This is what it takes to win.
What is it like coaching your players from freshmen to seniors about technique?
Well, technique is a hard thing in wrestling because most players, like most wrestlers, come in with zero knowledge of the sport. And that's why we take in all comers. I can teach you how to wrestle in one season, and then the next season you will be good, and then your third season you will be great, and your fourth season you can be elite. So it's about when you start wrestling. We never talk about how old you are, whereas maybe in basketball or football it's like, well, how old are you? How big are you? How athletic are you? For wrestling, it's more about how many matches have you had? How many years have you been doing it? What's your mat time? So when it comes to technique, it's a lot of, I can teach it to you your first year. You'll get it. Maybe you'll get a couple pins. Maybe you'll get pinned a lot. But then it's your second year, you start finding success. And we just start over right at your second year. We start over right at the same space, stance and motion, until we go all the way to the more complex things like cradle and sweep singles and things like that.
What is the hardest part about being a wrestling coach?
Hardest part about being a wrestling coach is managing emotions, because when you're wrestling, there is a famous phrase, there's no crying in baseball. There's blood, sweat, and tears literally on the wrestling mat, where when you've been fighting so hard for 6 minutes, on a lot of instances it feels like they're fighting for their life, and they do lose. They can both, my boys and my girls can get emotional. They can get angry with each other at practice. They sometimes, that's why we say we're a family, because we do fight. We argue. They argue with me, I argue with them, they argue with each other, but we never take it to that next level. And being able to treat each other with respect is very important, because, if you don't get along with somebody off the mat and then I ask you to wrestle them and then you lose, it's a very difficult thing to then stand up and shake their hand. But it is something that we preach about respect and knowing your place and being able to be an honorable person.
What's the hardest part about wrestling?
The hardest part about wrestling is like either before a match or like when you lose a match, the way you feel when you lose, because you understand that when you lose, you're losing to somebody's strength to strength. It's your strength versus theirs, and the technique comes into it. It matters, but it's like at the same time it was you versus them in a 1v1. It's almost like you're fighting for your life and you lost. So it kind of hits hard sometimes, especially when you put your all into it. Even though it only feels like a couple of minutes, it really does feel like a long time when you're wrestling.
What is the easiest part about being a coach?
I don't have to set lineups. I don't have to pick who plays. Parents are never like, why aren't you starting my kid? My kid's the best. Well, your kid lost to that kid at practice. It's as simple as that. If one person wants to wrestle and they share the same weight class, we just wrestle them at practice. Whoever wins goes. And that's just the way it goes. I don't ever have to. If you want a challenge for a weight class, go for it. We'll wrestle at a practice, and that's great. We love that. We call it the main event. It's awesome. And you lose, you sit back. And then you want to challenge them 3 months later, go again. I'll let you go. I don't care. So I never have to set weight. I never have to deal with that kind of thing that the football coaches and the basketball. Why isn't my kid getting time? Well,